What we're here to announce today is that the Trust for Public Lands for the last 4 years has done something called Park Score, essentially where we look at a bunch of metrics and we say, which cities in America do the best job of providing parks for people? And we don't do that just because we think parks are a nice amenity that you worry about at the end of the day, but because we believe that parks are essential to quality of life, that they address first-tier problems in cities like public health, environmental problems, they provide ecological services, they provide for neighborhood cohesion, and they raise real estate values. There's so many things that happen when you have a good park system. And it's my great pleasure to announce that today, after doing all of our complex calculations, we have found that the best city park system is in fact two city park systems, and they are Minneapolis and Saint Paul. It's quite extraordinary because you're competing with a number of other cities like New York and San Francisco and Portland and Seattle and Dallas and Houston and LA. And these two cities came out tied for first place in the points scored. You got there differently. There are different strengths in either city, but across the board, how you win something like this is you have to have across-the-board strengths, which include, I'll just tell you briefly, how do we measure this? How do you measure a great park system? First, we look at what percentage of the city is dedicated to parkland, and both cities are about 15%. Then you look at how many residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park or playground or other green space. It's around 96%, again, in both cities. How are you doing in spending? Are you dedicating public resources? And we only count public money. We don't count private money. But we count all the money that's being spent, in this case mostly city, but if there's federal money or state or county money being spent, we count that too. And then both cities do very strongly compared to most other cities. And then we look at amenities, things like dog parks, playgrounds, basketball hoops, and recreation senior centers. And when you add those all up, you get a score, and we both give you a numerical score, and we also give you benches. And the top score you can get with benches is 5 benches, and here are the 2 5-bench park systems in the country. I could go on and on with a list of superlatives, but let me just leave it there, and I'm going to ask a couple of speakers to come up here. But what do you think about great twins in history? They say that mathematically, when you're giving birth, there's a 1 in 80 chance you have twins. There were 75 cities, so that's kind of an interesting convergence. The great twins of history, the biblical Jacob and Esau, mythological Romulus and Remus, mythological Apollo and Artemis. But Artemis was the goddess of wild things, so that fits, and Apollo is the god of health, so that fits. You could go a little bit more pop culture in the Robin and Maurice Gibbs, or just take the advice of Ann Landers and Abigail Van Buren, who are also twins. But what? And St. Paulites. So we have the Twin Cities having twin victories together. It's a really extraordinary thing. So I couldn't be more happy than to be here in my ancestral homeland and to be presenting this award. And to first come up and speak, I'd like to invite Mayor Chris Coleman. And as you come up, I present you with the first of 2 awards.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Yes. Thank you so much, Adrian. This is wonderful, and I'm just thankful you didn't mention Sodom and Gomorrah in your. This is really great. It's so wonderful to be here that I just can't tell you how thrilled we are to be honored this way. Thanks to the Trust for Public Lands. Obviously, we have our great leader here in the city of St. Paul for the Trust for Public Lands. Thank you for being here, Paige, and all the work that you do. And Susan and your team, just an incredible organization, incredible partners that have helped us enhance the park system in the city of St. Paul. One of the things that we, both Mayor Hodges and I, have been extremely focused in on lately has been the work of racial equity. And one of the key components to racial equity is to have a first-class park system that is available to all. And so a few years ago, when we realized there were 2 things. First of all, an incredible deficit in terms of green space in the Frogtown neighborhood, and an opportunity with the Wilder Foundation moving over to a new site that we could instead of kind of looking at that site as a development opportunity and just kind of figuring out how we could build more houses or businesses, which are all incredibly important, we knew we had a huge challenge that we had to meet. And so the community rose up and said, we need to use this space as green space, and Trust for Public Land was instrumental in helping us move that vision forward and continuing to focus our work. So whether it was acquiring new space in the Frogtown community, building the new facility over on the east side at Arlington Hills Community Center, which is a $14 million gift to the east side on behalf of the people of the city of St. Paul, because we know that every neighborhood in this community has to have access to quality, first class, first rate, 21st century facilities. That is all part of this vision. You know, you look at this community and it is just absolutely the system that we have, whether it's the Vento Nature Sanctuary or Hillcrest or any of our rec centers. It's the natural open spaces along the Mississippi River. It's the program spaces. It is the basketball hoops. It is the dog parks. And by the way, I didn't know dogs could write postcards, but I've never received more postcards on any issue in my life than from dogs demanding more dog parks. But it is embedded, I think, in this community. And for a long time, you know, our work has been to try to figure out how to stop viewing each other as rivals and start acting regionally. Start acting as a community that can compete with any other community in this country, if not, in fact, across the globe. But there is some advantage to a little healthy competition. You know, if you look at the space program, it was the fact that we were in a competition with the Soviet Union that allowed us to advance and get to the moon by the end of the 60s, as President Kennedy called for. So I'm grateful for my partner Russia over here because it encouraged us to do better. It's a little healthy competition here, right? So all these years that Minneapolis has been recognized for their great park system, and they have an unbelievable park system. I use it a lot. It's a wonderful system, but it was always a little irritating to not be recognized in the city of St. Paul because we knew the great park system that we had in our community, and the work and the investment that we were putting into it in our community. To reclaim Harriet Island. If you remember what Harriet Island was like not just that long ago, it was not a place where you felt like you could go down and touch the Mississippi River and wanted to be a part of. You look at the great space in Lilydale and that wonderful park that, you know, you can be in the middle of Lilydale and feel like you are in the middle of the wilderness area 1,000 miles away from a big city, but in fact you are right in the middle of a metropolitan area of over 3 million people. That's an incredible thing that we have, and we have to recognize that. So I just want to thank, first of all, Mike Hom, who's been just provided incredible leadership for our park, and his wonderful staff, many of whom are here. His predecessors, Bob Bierscheid, Vic Wittgenstein, Bob Piram. I'm sorry that Bob passed away just a couple of years ago because he would have been so proud of this honor for all the years that he spent as a leader of that system. But going back, really from the beginning of time in the city of St. Paul, parks have been at the core of our values, of who we are as a community. And so I thank you for this recognition. Thanks to the Trust for Public Land. We're going to continue to do better. What the problem is when you debut at number one, there's no, you know, we can always improve, but we can't get any higher. And that's a pretty good thing. Thank you.
Well, on that, just a little cautionary note, we've spoken to a couple of other mayors of other cities who have said they're gunning for you. So there's a lot of trying harder happening behind you. So keep an eye on that rearview mirror. It's now my pleasure to ask to come up two people, Mayor Betsy Hodges of the City of Minneapolis and Liz Vilensky, Chair of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. I'm going to present the award. And I'm going to give it to Liz. And first, Mayor Hodges. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And first, thank you to the Trust for Public Land and for this honor and for this recognition of the generations of vision, the generations of work, the generations of investment in the city of Minneapolis and in the city of St. Paul that have gone into the creation of a jewel for our country. It's a jewel for our country as well as for our region and for our state. And so as a resident of Minneapolis, as a resident of this region, am so proud and so honored to be standing here. And I have had I don't think I could do my job without the Minneapolis public parks, because I am a runner, I am a biker, I spend time with friends. All of those things are required to have the full kind of life to go on and do a job that is sometimes tough, where you have to face a lot of things. So personally, I have spent hours, probably months at this point, if you added it all together, running around our lakes, being with friends and family in these parks. And that's true for people in Minneapolis in general. Everybody lives within a 10-minute walk of a park. Almost everybody's within 6 blocks of a park. And that means everybody in our city has a place that they can gather with their community. Everybody has a place in the city that they know is theirs. People's personal feelings about the park they live near cannot be overstated. You cannot overstate people's dedication. And that's why I am so particularly proud of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and our whole system. We are unique, or almost unique in the United States, with having an independently elected park board who make decisions and are incredible stewards of our park system. I want to note that Commissioner Scott Vreeland is here, Mike Forney is here, in addition to the president, who's going to be speaking here in a moment, and our great leader, Jane Miller, the superintendent of our parks. They do such a great job ensuring that not only do we invest, but that we invest well and we invest for the priorities of the people in the city of Minneapolis. I am also proud to stand here today with Mayor Coleman and with the city of Saint Paul. We are America. In that scenario, I just have to let you know, in the scenario you laid out. But you know, the mayor mentioned that sometimes it was hard on St. Paul to not be able to be included in these rankings. And you know what? It's also hard on Minneapolis, because the partnership we have and the fact that we are a region that is so strong is incredibly valuable. And I am so glad we tied and that we are number one together, because I think that's appropriate in so many things and so much of the work we do, but no less in how we serve our community with our park system. How we serve our community with our park system. It is increasingly clear that the research is showing and the data is showing, it is increasingly clear that it's not only it enhances your quality of life, but that our health, our mental health and our physical health requires being close to green space, requires having some access to nature. And the fact that we offer this as a city is one of the reasons we do thrive so well, and it is one of the reasons that we are so healthy. But we have places to go. We have horizons that we are reaching for in terms of green space, in terms of parkland in this city. We know that in North Minneapolis, we want more amenity, we want more opportunity on the riverfront in particular, and we are working hard to make that happen. We know as more and more people move to downtown Minneapolis that they need access to green space in the way that every human being does, and we are working hard to make that happen and make that real as well. So today is a huge day for the city of Minneapolis. Today is a huge day for the region, and for the healthy competition between Minneapolis and St. Paul. I'm just glad we tied, and thank you very much again to the Trust for Public Land for this honor.
Well, I'm last, and I'm going to try and be brief. I'm Liz Vilensky. I'm the president of the Minneapolis Park Board, and I'm also the district for the east side of Minneapolis, so welcome to the east side. We border right here just down the block with our friends in St. Paul, and we are here today, and we are happy to recognize that we are both being recognized for our great park systems. And I just want to say we couldn't be here without our friends in many places. Senator Dietzig, thank you for coming. Tim Cassalter's here from Senator A.B. Klobuchar's office. So we have folks at all levels. And of course, my compatriots, Meg Forney and Scott Vreeland from the Minneapolis Park Board. Minneapolis and St. Paul, or the Twin Cities, are like many siblings, always in a bit of competition with each other, whether you're Russia or America. We like to poke fun at each other, and that underlying tussle for attention keeps us on our toes and has led to many top rankings. In 2014, there were plenty of accolades. St. Paul was the #1 best romantic North American getaway by USA Today. Minneapolis was the friendliest city, #1 in men's health. St. Paul Highland National Golf Course was one of the 11 of the world's top best golf clubs, according to CNN. In Minneapolis, Lake Calhoun was considered the best of Midwest beaches, according to the Travel Channel. In St. Paul, Como Zoo is in the top 20 best zoos in the nation, according to TripAdvisor. And Minneapolis was number 3 as best places to live in the U.S. by Outside Magazine. But the ones I like best are the Twin City ones. Twin Cities, number 1 most playful metro area, according to Sperling's Best Place. Twin Cities, America's second fittest city, according to the American Fitness Index. The Twin Cities, number 1 for public parks by Travel and Leisure. So apparently the Trust for Public Land, you're just realizing this now. And of course, now the tie for the number 1 urban park system. We are honored to share this award from the Trust for Public Land. We love the competition from our neighbors to the east in St. Paul. I'm sure that we'll be jousting each other to see who knocks whom off the top spot in 2016. But it's going to be one of us, right? But all that joking aside, as 2 individual cities, we have some great features. But as the regional leaders, as these twin cities, we're an unstoppable force. Thank you.